Welcome to Ella's Beefeaster's Radio Aircheck and Classic TV channel.
WPLJ FM and HD1, New York, a Shue station.
It's 95.5 PLJ Reunion Day. Bringing back all your favorite DJs from the past 48 years. Bringing back your favorite DJs that made PLJ great. This is 95.5 PLJ Reunion Day.
It is Race Taylor and Joey Kramer behind the board. We have a room full of guests, some very special guests. Please say hello to Jim Kerr, Shelli Sonstein, Carol Miller.
Hello.
Jimmy Fink, are you in the house, Mike?
Greetings, I'm here.
Oh, my God.
So weird. You just played China Grove because one time the Doobie Brothers came up to PLJ. They were getting an award for China Grove being played like a million times.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. So I told them that, like, I played it 900,000 times myself.
You're good for almost a mil, right?
Yeah,
really.
but the PLJ audience sure loved them, and we had a big contest where the Doobie Brothers went to lunch with a group of PLJ listeners who won the contest, and they had lunch at the Channel 7 restaurant around the corner from the ABC building at 6th Avenue and 54th Street.
And I did a special with the Doobie Brothers.
And they were amazing because they took the time, and this was in the pre-phone days, they took the time to have a photo with everybody who was there to have lunch with them so that the people would have proof.
Sure.
And then they mailed those photos to those listeners. And it was just very, very cool.
Crazy.
Mail.
Very cool.
Mail.
They mailed it.
That was good news.
How much mail do we not even open now? Oh, my God, I don't even want to see that.
If you get a letter, you know it's from somebody a little bit
The
strange.
IRS. It's from the IRS.
Yes.
Yeah, they only send mail through the...
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what's crazy. Welcome to the studios. When was the last time you were here, Jim Kerr?
In this studio?
In this studio.
It was in June of 1989, the last day that I worked here.
Wow.
I've been on the floor since.
Sure.
But that was the last time I was in this. I was in this room. I was the first person to broadcast from this room.
That is amazing.
Ever. It was at 12 midnight. And Linda Energy was the last person to broadcast from the studios at 1330 Avenue of the Americas.
Sure.
So I was there with her for a little while, then came over here, and at 12 midnight we signed these studios on. And the first song was "You've Got to Fight for Your Right
Really?
to Party" by the
Oh,
Beastie
man,
Boys.
we just played
Nice.
that last weekend. That was so awesome to hear.
I heard it.
Yes,
I heard
on
it. I
these
was listening
speakers.
last weekend.
What is crazy for us, and there's people outside the window right now that we know your voices. We've heard you. We've been in so many places in our other parts of our daily lives, and just to see you standing in this room here and talking, it is we're a little verklempt. This is the start. This is the genesis. This is the beginning of everything that's happened.
It's our pleasure to be
right
here. man.
Well, Jimmy Fink was one of the absolute original PLJ personalities. He was working at the station on February 14th, 1971, when WPLJ was born.
That's right.
Jimmy, you have to tell your story.
Well, the story of how I got my job, if that's what you mean. It's just like I was just a listener, you know.
He called to make a request.
I called to make a request. I got connected to the vice president of ABC, and he said, well, why don't you come down and make a tape? Yeah, so he put me on the air the following Saturday, and that was...
Yeah, you got connected to him by mistake.
Yeah, the thing is, I worked there for like 8 years just as a fill-in part-time guy, but there was so much turnover, like my fill-in part-time was almost full-time. And then Jim left the station for a couple of years.
Oh, that's a story.
And I started doing the morning show, and Larry Berger, program director, said, well, why don't you just do the morning show? And I said, great. And then Jim came back, so it was like I filled in for him for 2 years.
I refused to leave when Jim left.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
I was
Shelli.
waiting my whole career to come to New York and to come to WPLJ specifically.
Yeah.
I had sent tape after tape to Larry
I thought it was
Berger
because you
over
liked me, Shelley.
And that, too.
Well, I didn't even want to get into that.
Well, you knew that.
However,
We had Storm Field with us, too.
however, one of the happiest moments of my entire life was when I opened up the New York Daily News and saw a full-page ad on a WPLJ letterhead, and on the letterhead,
Oh, yeah.
in writing, it said, "Dear Jim, please come home.
Yeah.
All is forgiven."
All is forgiven.
Signed
Signed.
WPLJ.
Yeah.
How cool is
That's
that?
class.
That's amazing.
That is so great.
Well, I remember my first day coming over to the station. I got into a cab, and I didn't know if I was getting the job or not. And the cab driver said in an accent, a foreign accent, you're my very first passenger. Would you sign this dollar? And I said, I think I'm getting a brand new job right now. And I wrote Carol Miller, WPLJ, and then I got the job.
There you go.
Yep.
And the first time I was in the WPLJ studio was for an on-air audition with Jim Kerr. August 28th, 1977. He had no clue who I was or what I was doing
Really?
there. And I was on break, on vacation between two jobs. And I don't know how I ever had the chutzpah to tell Larry Berger after he said, "You're finishing the week." I said, "No, I'm on vacation. You tell me I have the job or not."
And I immediately, my first reaction to Shelli when she joined me in the morning in 1977 was one of resentment.
Was it really?
Yeah, because she was a year younger than me, and I wasn't the youngest person anymore at PLJ. Because I was 21 when I joined, and a young
Me too.
21.
And I was 23. So
Yeah, I was a young
We were
21
all
when I
just in our
joined.
20s.
I was 21 and 3 months old when I took over the morning show at WPLJ, and I was 24 when Shelli showed up, and she was 23. So I was no longer the
Well,
youngest.
that's the thing about PLJ. To me, it was a place in time. A place in time in that so much was happening with music, what we call classic rock now, you name it, Led Zeppelin, Van Halen, The Police. And we were there, and there were no other, outside of television, inputs for people to get all this stuff. And so we were there at the center of it, and the center was WPLJ.
Absolutely.
Race.
Yeah.
There you go.
Before I came over here today, I was at a doctor's appointment.
Uh-oh.
And I was sitting in the doctor's office, and she looked at me across the desk, and she looked at the T-shirt that I'm wearing, which, by the way, I'm wearing today for you guys, the current PLJ.
You guys are awesome.
Yeah.
The current PLJ
Awesome.
crowd. And she looked at me and she said, I grew up in Livingston, New Jersey, and went to Livingston High School. And she said, everybody in my high school listened to PLJ. And she was from a younger era than mine. Okay? But she just, I didn't even know, that she knew I worked at PLJ. But she did see the shirt, and she knew all about, today and tomorrow.
Everything that was happening.
Well, I know you guys were. I didn't know Jim was going to wear the current PLJ shirt, but I brought you guys some vintage PLJ shirts.
Wow.
Yeah, there it is.
Well, I'm wearing the one that you can buy on the website, which has all the logos, all the logos on the back.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
It's a bargain at $20 at PLJ.com.
I have this massive
Thank you.
collection of PLJ stuff.
Oh,
Yeah, I know you do.
It's just really.
I've got I have a bag of Bruce Springsteen buttons.
I brought you a bag of stuff today.
This
you
is
guys,
amazing.
so you can-
I've got
That's
a
awesome.
Zeppelin button right here.
yeah, that's not going to fit you.
Zeppelin
That's not
button.
going to fit you, Joey. I wish it would.
I think my wife would look good in
Yeah,
that.
that's it. It's a sleeping shirt now.
Jim, the story of your first song, because I think we have it ready to roll, and then we'll tell some more stories.
Okay, well, the first current hit that I played when I joined WPLJ in March of 1974 was "Come and Get Your Love" by Redbone, which was just moving up the charts big time at that particular point in time.
And how was that adjustment for you, by the way? Going from a jock of one style and that kind of music to stepping into the top 40 world?
Oh, when we went to the top 40 world, that was later on. That was in 1983. I had a top 40 background, as did Pat St. John. And so...
Come on, man. He's a professional. He can do any format.
Sure.
You want to play Spanish talk music?
He'll do it.
He'll do it.
I know he will.
Yo soy Jim Kerr.
Those pipes, exactly. We're going to hit play right now and just go back in time a little bit.
Oh, yes, I do remember. I remember it well. Here's Redbone. And "Come and Get Your Love" at 95.5 WPLJ.
This is Reunion Day on 95.5 PLJ.
Please welcome back from New York's best rock, Jim Kerr, Shelli Sonstein, Carol Miller, and Jimmy Fink.
Ooh, can we say it? Wow. Over the music there, 95.5 WPLJ, New York's best rock.
Yeah.
Wow.
People always ask me, what music is that? You know, it's by Focus, the band that did that song Hocus Pocus. It's a song called My Sweetheart, if anybody's looking for it.
It's amazing.
Right.
Yeah.
And iconic and so identified with this radio station over the years.
Yeah, we used it in TV commercials and on-air sweepers and all kinds of good stuff.
You know, and I really want to mention that we, the three of us, me and Jim and Shelli, wouldn't be at Q1043 if it were not for WPLJ.
That's very true.
And we want to thank Q1043 for allowing us to be here.
Yeah, I mean, they have we have a group of 4 PLJers at Q104.3.
Yeah.
We've got as well as Shelli and Carol. I mean, we've got Mark Coppola.
The Cope.
Yeah. Was the Cope here?
He was here earlier.
He was here earlier.
fantastic.
Yeah, I know he has to work this afternoon, so we weren't able to be together. But yeah, there are 4 of us over at the Q.
And I don't know if you know that yesterday on my show up in Westchester at the Peak, I did a whole hour tribute to WPLJ, the old WPLJ, and to you two guys, because you guys have just been great asking me to participate in all this reunion stuff.
Do you know, as we're saying goodbye to the WPLJ of 2019, we're saying goodbye to a radio station that currently has over 2 million listeners?
That's amazing.
Think about that.
And
That
you know,
is
it's
amazing.
being taken over by a Christian broadcasting company,
Right.
right? But listen, they should do a mitzvah and give everybody here a job. Not fire anybody.
I think the highest rated station, like in the history of New York, was KTU, like in the disco era or something.
right.
But I
Paco.
think that these few hours are probably putting that record, to shame at this point.
There is so much love for this radio
just
station.
think about that. The current PLJ audience is much larger than every man, woman, and child in metropolitan Cleveland, Ohio, or Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I mean, it's just amazing.
And the thing about this radio station is that it has had an opportunity to bounce back, to come back, to be influential in so many different incarnations. And there have been so many fans of every era and so many people who have told us that they woke up listening to you and they listen to you still, but they always come back to PLJ to find out what's happening.
Yeah.
Now, I was told, Jim, that you had a story about the switch from rock to top 40 that you might be a little reluctant to tell, but if we pressed...
When we were in that
I
meeting,
think I know that
your
story,
reaction,
too.
we were in
Yeah.
the meeting.
Didn't you
at
have a piece of
big
paper in your
table.
hand?
Oh, I wasn't there.
No,
for that one.
don't tell me that you don't remember,
Oh, come
because
on,
you remember
man.
everything, Jim.
You're talking about tearing up the piece of paper?
Yeah,
No,
that's it.
That's not what I'm talking
Yeah.
about.
No, that's what I'm talking about. He basically had a piece of paper in his hand, and he said, "You see this paper?" And he held it up, and it was a nice, big-size, legal piece of paper. He said, "This is the old PLJ format," and then he ripped it in half and held up the half of it and said, "This is the new PLJ format."
Well, because we were changing from a station that played hit singles and album cuts to a station that played hit singles.
No, but the hit
So-
singles also included Lionel Richie.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
what
that was the
I
difference.
remember,
I like Lionel Richie.
I
Me too,
remember,
but that's not besides the point.
I remember
Stacey
Jim
Lattisaw.
Kerr excusing himself, going to the men's room, and vomiting.
Really?
Yes, he had a physical reaction.
Was that
and
where John
then-
Lennon vomited? The same bathroom? Mm-hmm. Oh, man.
How about that?
Yeah.
That story was incredible, by the way, from the party night. I could not believe
No,
that
that's,
story.
That's a true story. It's-
The things we
You
do
don't
when we're
remember?
You don't
I have
remember?
absolutely no recollection of that.
It
at
was
all,
so
Shelley.
shocking
I
that
don't
you
remember-
blacked out.
I don't remember.
I don't
either.
remember that.
I
I was
don't remember
nauseous.
that at all.
And do you remember
That
your
may
son?
be urban legend.
Do you remember your son's reaction when you went home and told him?
Yeah, he cried.
And he played.
She
he
cried
played
by
a
Jay
certain
and the
Who
Americans.
song all night long and cranked it up. Long live rock.
yeah.
Well, I have to say
Jim
something
is
that
blacking out with this. This is unbelievable.
I brought a picture here of a memorial card for Larry Berger. He was our program director. If it weren't for Larry, none of us would be here. And he was the one who decided, for economic reasons, is that correct, to switch it from rock to top 40?
And there was a fragmentation that was going on. We were going into the MTV
Right.
era. Everything was changing around us. There were brand new recording artists that were coming out that had very popular songs that portions of our audience rejected, and it was just turning into a demographic nightmare. This is something now that's getting too into the weeds.
Yeah.
for-
yeah.
the radio
Well, I
station.
thought we could play everything.
But
you know.
he decided
Yeah.
that it was best for us to seek a broader coalition.
The thing
so
is,
to
I don't
say.
know if you know it, but back then there was always a controversy because PLJ sped up the music a little bit, 3%. And people always ask me about that.
It's a question right here. Please ask everyone about the increased pitch years ago.
So here's the reason.
Yeah, we
is
did.
because Larry thought that would make the station like pop and sound like brighter than all the other stations. And that was true.
Yeah, so that if you tuned into WNEW, they would
sound like they were lagging. Yeah. Exactly. So Larry had this also a call-in show that was called Let's Hear It. And people would always ask him that, and he would, just play stupid about it. So we behind the scenes used to call the show, instead of Let's Hear It, we called it Let's Deny It. That was the name of Larry's show.
How about that? Think of this, a boss, a program director who has a Sunday night show so that the listeners can call in and say whatever they want and ask. I mean, come on, who does that?
Yeah.
Nobody does that, and we really have to. That's why I brought this memorial card with me. So he's here. I was very close to him. He fired me,
He fired all of us eventually.
No, he didn't fire us.
He fired me because he thought I wouldn't. You know what he said to me? He thought I wouldn't be happy playing the other music. I mean, I was happy with the job, but
but he fired you, and he remained until his passing one of your closest friends.
Yes, he did, and he also said to me, "Let this go out into the airwaves here." That he said, maybe we could have worked it out, so we could have continued on as New York's Best Rock, playing some of the newer stuff, and maybe dropping a couple of the older things.
Yeah.
But that's later on.
Well, he fired me too, but a few days later he hired me back. It's kind of weird, but that's the way it was. It was, I guess, maybe thank you, listeners, for all you people who are listening now. It's one of the reasons why I came back, and I stayed there for 3 more years after that.
Sure. But these guys have us completely beat. They have. I mean, how many years for you two?
Joey?
I've been on the air here for 23 years.
Oh, wow.
23 years. And Race,
were you like a teenager?
You're almost 20, right?
October would have been 20 years.
I mean, what an incredible run for you two guys.
Absolutely amazing.
I mean, just an incredible run for you two guys.
Thank you so very much. It is amazing to hear your voices here, and since we finally found the CD and a player that will work...
thank you very much.
Carol, I cannot hear you say another word without talking about Led Zeppelin.
Okay.
Get the lead out and give me the story.
Okay, well, actually the story has to do with me leaving PLJ. Because what happened was, I was on at night, and because I was on at night, I was always playing more Led Zeppelin, more hard rock stuff.
Sure.
And when I got the X, a few weeks later, I got hired at WNEW-FM, and my first words when I walked in there was, wow, I thought I'd never see another Zeppelin record. Because I had played Zeppelin as a rock station, PLJ as a rock station. So my dream now is, because I play Get the Lead Out every night. It's my syndicated show. Mm-hmm. Been doing Get the Lead Out for decades. And I'm very happy with United Stations Radio Network syndicates it. And, of course, Q1043, we play it. And every night I play Led Zeppelin. But the inspiration was because I played my last Led Zeppelin record on WPLJ and had to leave.
Really?
Yep.
That's incredible.
Which song was it, Carol?
The Ocean.
Oh, look at that.
How about that? Yeah. 95.5 WPLJ, New York's Best Rock. We got some Zeppelin. It's from Houses. Oh, yeah. Getting the lead out. 95.5 WPLJ. And we're going to get the lead out again tonight.
Wait, are you auditioning, Carol?
No, we're going to get it out. We're going to get the lead out again tonight at 8 o'clock at Q4.3, okay? Had to get that in there.
Okay, no problem.
Carol, that just sounded like I heard that yesterday.
Yeah.
I know. It's freaky.
Well,
it's
you probably did if you were listening to Q104.
No, when she came out and said Zeppelin 95.5.
It's PLJ, yeah. I mean, to me, PLJ was like high school. This was my high school emotionally. All of us, as I said, a space in time.
Yeah.
You were talking, each of you, about your start, and I cannot imagine at the age of 23 or 24 being in New York City and having this platform, let alone surviving. I mean, Jim and I, we have talked about coming from small towns just outside of Detroit, Michigan, with no McDonald's, no stop sign, nothing. So just to be here.
No, but in Howell, Michigan, where we both worked, there was an A&W and a Big Boy.
Yeah, all right. So there was food, yes. But still, I cannot imagine.
Burners or whatever, right?
Oh, Vernors. I love Vernors.
That kind of freedom.
But yeah, hey, I was 21 years old, and I was so excited. And my first day on the job, it was Jimmy Fink that I met. He's the guy that trained me when I walked into the studio. And, I mean, I was 21. I was so excited. Well, I was working at a radio station in New York City in the ABC building right down the hall from WABC Radio, you know, where Harry Harrison was on in the morning. You know, I'd go to the bathroom, and they didn't have PLJ on the speakers. They had WABC on the speakers.
Okay.
So I'd go into the bathroom, and I would hear, "Good morning, it's Harry Harrison here at WABC." And it was like, wow, I can't believe I'm here.
Exactly. No, I'll never forget one day I was on the air and like Bruce Morrow walked in the room. I'm thinking, oh my God, that's Cousin Brucey.
I see him every Saturday night.
Yeah, it still freaks me out to this day that Cousin Brucey knows who I am. It just totally freaks me out.
You know, just walking into the building when the big ABC logo outside, I would just kvel. I was just so proud and happy.
It
to
was
be walking
the big
into
time.
the building.
Yeah, it was
the big time.
Definitely the big
Yeah.
time. You know, when you'd ride up on the elevator with Howard Cosell smoking a big stinking cigar
Yeah.
right in the
did.
elevator.
Man.
I did.
But that's because he was always hanging out right around the corner from the studio. He had a little office there in a production studio or whatever, and Howard Cosell was like always there.
Making comments at the girls.
Yeah, and you know, John.
That wasn't the Me Too era.
No, it
John,
was not.
well, the Me Too era, I came into work once. Remember, I'm 21 years old. I had only been there a few weeks, and I came in to do the show, and Alex Bennett did the overnight show.
Oh, my goodness.
And I walked in, and we had a little lounge right across the hall from the studio that Alex Bennett did his show in. And I opened the door, I walked in there, and Marilyn Chambers, the porn star, was sleeping on the couch.
Oh, my Lord.
I said, whoa, I'm in the big city now.
Absolutely.
You gotta love the rock.
Those rock days are unbelievable. And just the essence, just the fact that so many people came to you for a music education. And at that time, I believe you had a little more freedom. I know once Larry arrived, things changed.
We had a lot of freedom under Larry.
Freedom with Larry.
We had a lot of freedom
We did.
under Larry. We played thousands of songs. Yes, they were organized onto cards where we kept track of when we played them and who played them last. And
Sure.
you couldn't play the same song until two other people played them and stuff like that.
Tell
But-
the truth, Jim. You cheated a little sometimes.
Yeah, I cheated every
Yeah.
Saturday morning when I played Hurricane by Neil Young
There you
because
go.
I wasn't allowed. It was day parted out of Monday through
Oh
Friday.
yeah, I'll never forget. You know,
can't
when
have that
songs,
song.
sometimes really loud rock songs could be day parted. I was doing the morning show. I played some Rod Stewart song, like maybe Hot Legs. Immediately, I got called. You know,
Well,
hotline. You're losing all your listeners.
Well, you know, when I was on in the morning there on New York's Best Rock, you know, I played Seals and Crofts and Carly Simon and Cat
Yeah.
Stevens
Yeah.
and Carol
We played
King.
everything.
You had to
You
play
know,
something to wake
where
somebody up.
you know, the AC/DC and Van Halen and stuff, that was pretty much more at night, in the afternoon and at night.
True.
Yeah.
But for a while, we were playing a very, very wide variety of what we called rock music.
Oh, for
Yeah,
a
which
long-
included
forever.
which included artists like Earth, Wind and Fire,
Joni Mitchell.
Absolutely.
Stevie Wonder, and
Yeah.
sure,
The Bee Gees.
Absolutely. Yeah.
right up until Saturday Night Fever.
Yes, and that was it.
That really
Which was one of the greatest albums of all time,
Sure.
but it created so much controversy.
You know, that was one of the best interviews I think I ever had was with Robin Gibb. It was in a hotel room, and he was really open about kind of the backlash, you know, that the Bee Gees felt from the rock fans who just were really uptight about Saturday
Even
Night
though that
Fever.
was one of the best albums ever made.
It was so great.
It was,
Yeah.
So great.
But it was such a divisive time musically because you were either one or the other, and very
Right.
rarely were
And you
was.
couldn't
Remember-
like both. It was crazy. And I did.
And the Buttons, Disco Sucks.
Yeah.
Yes.
We had that button.
Okay.
We
And
gave
the
it out to
summer-
listeners.
Yeah,
The summer of Southern
meanwhile,
rock
Jimmy
with
Fink
it.
was spending his time at Studio 54 at
hey,
night.
when
So
I did the
mean-
morning show, man, I would go to Studio 54 at midnight and until 5 a.m. just in time to come to PLJ to do my show.
Sure. We played an Aircheck from Pat St. John, and it was New Year's Day, and he had a shift, and he talked about what he saw at Studio 54 the night before.
Yeah.
And how he would love to be able to talk about it, but he would be unemployed. If
Yeah,
he
no,
said,
but if you check out the
Yeah, another
Facebook,
word.
he made a comment about describing exactly what that was.
Can you tell us, in your path musically through radio, would you think the Nirvana era of the change of rock and roll is similar to what happened with Saturday Night Fever and that kind of split back then? Is there any similarity, any parity between the two?
I don't know. I work for a station now where we play just about everything, and I have this section of my program called After 6 because when I worked for K-Rock, we had a section of the show called After Midnight, and that's basically when the program director says, just do whatever you want. Nobody's listening anyway. Yeah. So now I say that I have this After 6 because midnight is now past my bedtime, so I got to do it after 6. But it's basically freeform like the original WPLJ was, where there was no real format. You just played, kind of a flow of the mind. Whatever comes next sounds good.
I had Jacob Dylan on this morning. And
at Q104.
Yeah, at Q104.3. And I said, because of the great new movie, Echo in the Canyon, which is just outstanding. If you get a chance to see it, you've got to see it. It's playing in 2 Manhattan theaters for the next 3 nights, which includes a Q&A.
It's basically about all the music that came out of that
Laurel Canyon,
California.
Basically around 1965, 67.
Beach
but
Boys,
anyway,
Mamas and Papas.
I looked at Jacob Dylan on the air with the mics on today, and I said, well, your breakthrough album was in 1996, so you are right on the cusp of joining the classic rock canon.
Right.
I don't think he had thought about that before.
I don't think he liked that thought.
Well, I think the whole classic rock thing started with the fact that MTV would get the new albums and they'd play the single, and have a video for it. So they'd be playing it. And then the rock stations would get all snooty about it and say, well, we're not going to play it because the top 40 stations are playing it because MTV is playing it. And they kind of isolated the artists and did not go back into the albums to get that second track.
Which always amazes me because you have a band like, say, Lumineers, for example, who can sell out a place like the Beacon Theater or something, and there's no radio station in New York that plays the Lumineers.
Exactly. And unfortunately, sometimes for a lot of artists that just have such a huge underground following, they may do it for a decade before they even get any kind of exposure like that.
Yeah, and then when they get the big time exposure, their original fan base turns on them and decides that they suck.
That's it, exactly.
And then they become the Doobie Brothers.
That's the problem with the whole indie thing, is that it's cool to like them because only the cool people like them, and then as soon as everybody else likes them, then the cool people don't like them anymore and they move on. I'm so happy, and I've been so blessed in my life that there hasn't been 1 second when I've ever been cool.
I think you're pretty damn cool right now, man. I'm telling you. It is amazing to hear your voices here at 95.5 PLJ and the stories and the relationships that you have crafted with artists that have become the soundtrack of our lives. And before we press play on this, I was hoping for a Bruce story.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'll give you a capsulized Bruce story. I had met Bruce Springsteen down in Philadelphia where I was working, and because I knew him, I was able to ask him if he would allow me and the station to collect signatures to make Born to Run the state song in New Jersey. And he kind of giggled a little. He used to do that. He giggled. And he said, yeah, okay. And so I did, and I got millions and millions and millions of signatures. We brought them down to Trenton, and the government was in session. I think it was...
Didn't you have a member of the legislature?
Yes.
There was
Vysotsky, yes.
who sponsored the bill?
Yeah.
He sponsored the bill, and what happened
was Bob Vysotsky's father or something, who was a sales guy at PLJ.
And thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. So no, we got millions and millions of signatures. And so I brought it down there, and I think the 2 chambers of the government there, one of them passed it, and the other one didn't want to touch it because it was an election year. It was too hot a topic.
Well, they finally compromised.
Yes, and it's the rock theme of New Jersey, the official rock theme of New Jersey.
Even though it's about leaving New Jersey.
Right, but I wonder how many people even know that today.
I don't know.
Bet
Ask
the
Governor
legislature
Murphy.
doesn't
Ask
know.
Governor Murphy.
I'll bet Governor Murphy doesn't know. I'll bet.
But I know that you have Thunder Road.
I do have Thunder Road
queued up
ready
there.
to go.
And when I joined PLJ, which was 75, that Born to Run had just come out, and I was so excited to get to play it. And this song especially, it just reminds me of sitting there late at night. PLJ, PLJ, Springsteen, you're going down the turnpike. Whatever exit you're on the right exit. Yeah, Springsteen. Oh, we're talking
little
now? This is the music bed?
This
Okay.
is just a little something.
All right, we're talking now. Q104.
No, you're PL 95.5.
That's for later.
204.3 is for later.
That's for later. We're at PLJ. Now, just a little
Okay,
for later. Trying to be nice.
The feature film that featured you and Bruce.
Oh, okay. We're going to talk about that. There was a film called Gracie, and Elizabeth Shue was the actress, and her husband was a very famous director, did An Inconvenient Truth, if you remember that movie. And anyway, put together a movie about a girl who played soccer in New Jersey, and in the 70s, and she couldn't decide whether to be on the soccer team or not. Soccer wasn't for girls. She goes into her room, and I was shocked that she's listening to the radio in the movie, and she's listening to PLJ. It happened to be me coming on. So that made her change her mind, listening to me talking about Bruce Springsteen, actually. So
I saw that movie, so I remember it.
So PLJ was in the movie,
That was a pivotal scene in the movie.
Yeah.
Pivotal scene.
That's a great story.
I'm crying here. That's why I'm getting Golf Club. That's why I get.
It's kind of hard. We're trying to honestly pace ourselves between now and 7:00 tomorrow night. But this hour alone has been a dream, and more than we ever could have expected from our initial plans on paper that said, let's have a reunion day. Let's see if anyone would be interested in coming back.
Well, I have to say that Tony Pigg was interested. He just couldn't make it today. I don't know. Did you guys talk to Pat St. John at all in California?
We did. In fact, Pat's going to be checking in, I think, after 5 o'clock.
Yeah, okay.
A little bit later today.
But Tony sends his regards to everybody. You know, he is still the staff announcer on the show with Kelly Ripa.
What a run.
And
Ryan.
ABC TV and Ryan, yeah.
It's an incredible run.
Yeah.
As you look back on your time here at WPLJ, there were so many concert series, there were so many events, there was so much marketing with your television commercials and pins and bumper stickers that were specialized for every concert. It's
And
stuff
patches.
that doesn't happen anymore.
No.
Jimmy's got them all over.
Yeah, there's
Wow.
a pile of stuff
He's
over
got
here you guys
everything.
can have fun with.
What stands out? And I hate to pick just one moment, but is there something that stands out? Something pivotal, something that was really life-changing, career-altering for you?
For each person?
Yeah.
Jim.
Life-changing and career-altering.
Oh, man.
I mean, life-changing was getting the job.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And there were so many highlights and so many fun things that we did. Like I mentioned at our party that I went to interview Paul McCartney, and I said, they introduced me, Jim Kerr from WPLJ, and Paul McCartney looked up and said, "Where's Carol Miller?" Because I guess he listened at night. But that meant that he knew our station.
Yeah.
And they sent me sent me passes, and I met them.
But the next... I mean, the idea that one of the Beatles,
who knew? Yeah, it was so freaky.
Knew WPLJ. I mean, it was just amazing. But for me, the most important part of that experience was the relationship that we had with the audience. It was just incredible. It's 2019. You can listen to music on Pandora. You can listen on Spotify or whatever. But guess what? Pandora, Spotify, they can't be your friend. WPLJ could be your friend. And that's the way that our PLJ listeners interacted with us. We were out in the community a lot, all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody sent me a poster of an appearance I did on a Wednesday night at a place in New Jersey called The Hole in the Wall the other day. And I wrote back, "Thank you for sending me this. That's when I used to be able to stay out late on weeknights." But the audience approached us as friends of theirs who had
the backstage pass,
who had a real neat job, so we could be the conduit between them and their favorite stars.
And we were all growing up together.
Yeah.
Because
That
it
was
was
the
a time
thing,
of youth. We were a community, and things were changing.
That's why I'm crying.
I have to say that we Jim talked about being friends with the listeners, but we were all friends amongst ourselves. I mean, we are still. I consider all these people my lifelong friends. We're not just seeing each other now for the first time in 40 years or whatever.
Right.
It was more than a radio
friends all
station.
this time.
Yeah, it was more than
a radio station.
More than a radio station.
People
More
always
than a
ask
job.
me, "What's the best time in radio for you?" And I always tell them, it's when you're working at a brand new station and everybody comes there who is new, and you really want to work together to get the station off the air. And that's how it was with PLJ, and we really made something. Like the Starship says in their song that most people consider pretty lame. We built this city on rock and roll.
Absolutely.
No question about it.
Absolutely.
I never understood why Grace Slick hated that song.
I never understood why people hate that song.
She's a little weird anyway.
Yeah, she
but
paints now.
Yeah, but and she's a great painter. But people put that list as like the number one worst
I
song
know.
in
I
history.
don't know
rock
why
and roll.
that
It's a great
is.
song.
I don't know why that is.
You know, as
Delta
this day
Dawn
progresses,
is there for me.
Oh my God, Delta Dawn, sure. As every hour goes by and people toss quotes around, there's one that comes to mind, and I don't know that it's poignant or anywhere or attributed to anybody, but just looking across the room and seeing all of you here, the quote that comes to mind is, "Just think of all of the people that you would have never known if it weren't for music." And that is you. You were part of the fabric of this radio station and of so many lives, and we are so happy that you took some time to come be part of our reunion day here.
And
We thank you so much.
Definitely. Thank
We're
you guys
honored
so
to be
much.
We're honored to
Yeah.
be here.
Thank you guys. This was incredible.
And you know, you guys are our friends, and you know, like I've said more than once, and I remember saying this to Joey. You know, it was like playing for the New York Yankees. Every single one of us from 1971 to 2019 can be proud of wearing those pinstripes.
Yeah.
That's right.
Absolutely.
And now we're in the Hall of Fame.
We certainly are.
Yeah.
Before I press play, Jim,
Jim is.
anything on this?
Jim
Jim's
is.
in the Radio Hall of Fame.
Yes,
Absolutely,
he
you
is.
are.
Yeah.
What an amazing night.
The very last song I played on WPLJ from this room when I was standing over there where you are right now, Race.
Sure.
The last song I played, I knew it was the last song that I was going to play. It was the Bangles. It was a song by the Bangles, and you know how Susanna Hoff's voice breaks
Oh yeah.
in the song.
Yeah.
Well, that was exactly my emotional feeling, you know, as I was listening to Eternal Flame, you know, and I walked out of the studio, and my coworkers were lined up
All right there,
down the hall.
just like now.
Wow, just like now.
Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Thank
man.
you.
There it is, Eternal Flame, Bangles at PLJ.
Close your eyes.
WPLJ FM and HD1, New York, a Cumulus station.
It's 95.5 PLJ Reunion Day. Bringing back all your favorite DJs from the past 48 years.
WPLJ, New York, New York.